In the heart of an ancient land, two armies stood locked in a tense standoff. On one side, the armies of Israel, huddled on a hillside, their hearts pounding with a fear so thick you could almost taste it. On the other, the mighty Philistines, confident and menacing. For 40 days, a shadow had fallen over the valley that separated them. This shadow had a name, Goliath. He wasn't just a man, he was a mountain of a man. A giant, nearly 10 feet tall, encased in gleaming bronze armor from head to toe. His spear was like a weaver's beam, its iron point alone weighing more than most men could even lift. Every morning and every evening, he would stride into the valley, his voice booming like thunder, mocking the Israelites and their God. Why come out and line up for battle? He would roar, "Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us." His laughter echoed off the hills, a chilling sound that sent shivers down every soldier's spine. No one dared to answer his challenge. The bravest warriors in Israel, men who had faced countless battles, could only look down in shame and terror. Fear had paralyzed an entire army, but far from the front lines, a different story was unfolding. A young shepherd boy named David was tending his father's sheep. He wasn't a soldier, he didn't know the weight of a sword or the feel of a shield. His world was the open fields, the quiet streams, and the starry nights. His companions were his flock, and his only weapon was a simple sling and a staff. But David had something the soldiers on the hillside had lost: unwavering faith. His father, Jesse, called for him one day. "Take this grain and these loaves of bread to your brothers in the camp," he said, "and see how they are doing." So David rose early the next morning, left his flock with another shepherd, and set off on his journey. When he arrived at the camp, the army was just going out to its battle positions, shouting the war cry. The scene was chaotic, a mix of bravado and thinly veiled panic, and then David saw him. He saw Goliath step forward, bellowing the same defiant challenge. He saw the color drain from the faces of the Israelite soldiers as they scrambled back in sheer terror. But David didn't feel fear. He felt something else, a righteous anger. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? He asked the men standing near him. He couldn't understand why everyone was so afraid. To him, this wasn't about a giant versus a man. It was about a defiant mortal challenging the Almighty. His older brother Eliab overheard him and burned with anger. "Why have you come down here? With whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness? I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. You came down only to watch the battle." David simply replied, "What have I done? Can't I even speak?" He was dismissed, his concerns brushed aside as youthful arrogance, but David's words were not lost. Someone overheard his passionate speech and reported it to King Saul. Intrigued, the king sent for the boy. When David stood before him, the contrast was stark. Saul, the tall and mighty king, was filled with despair. David, a mere youth, was filled with a fiery spirit. "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine," David said with astonishing confidence. "Your servant will go and fight him." Saul looked at him, a mix of pity and disbelief in his eyes. "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth." It was a logical, reasonable assessment. It was the voice of experience, the voice of fear. But David had a different kind of experience. "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep," he explained. "When a lion or a bear came and carried off the sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." Saul was taken aback. This wasn't the rambling of a naive boy. This was the testimony of a seasoned protector, someone whose faith wasn't just a belief, but a proven reality. A flicker of hope ignited in the king's heart. "Go," Saul said, "and the Lord be with you." Then Saul tried to equip David for the battle he knew. He dressed him in his own tunic, put a coat of armor on him, and a bronze helmet on his head. David fastened on his sword and tried to walk around, but he was completely unused to them. "I cannot go in these," he said to Saul, "because I am not used to them." So he took them off. He was not going to fight Saul's battle. He was going to fight his own. He walked to a nearby stream and stooped down. He carefully selected 5 smooth stones, placing them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag. With his sling in one hand and his staff in the other, he walked toward the valley, toward the giant. Goliath saw him coming and was insulted. He looked at the boy, rosy-cheeked and handsome, carrying nothing but a stick. This was the champion Israel had sent. "Am I a dog," Goliath snarled, "that you come at me with sticks?" And he cursed David by his gods. "Come here," he bellowed, "and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." The Philistine army roared with laughter, but David's voice, though not as loud, cut through the noise with absolute clarity. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." The talk was over. The moment had come. As Goliath moved closer to attack, David didn't retreat. He didn't hesitate. He ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag, he pulled out a single stone. He placed it in his sling, and with a powerful, practiced motion, he swung it around his head and let it fly. The stone whizzed through the air, a tiny projectile against a massive target. It was more than a stone. It was propelled by a force greater than muscle, guided by an aim truer than any eye. It struck the giant squarely on the forehead, the only vulnerable spot in his armor. The stone sank into his forehead, and with a deafening thud, the mountain of a man stumbled and fell face down on the ground. A stunned silence fell over the valley. The laughter of the Philistines died in their throats. The Israelites held their breath. Was it possible? Did that just happen? David ran and stood over the fallen giant. He didn't have a sword, so he drew Goliath's own massive sword from its sheath. And with a strength that came not from his body, but from his spirit, he ended the threat once and for all. When the Philistines saw their hero, their seemingly invincible champion, was dead, they turned and ran in utter panic. The Israelites, their fear instantly replaced by a surge of courage, let out a mighty roar and charged after them, pursuing them for miles. A victory that seemed impossible just moments before was now complete. That day, a shepherd boy taught a kingdom a powerful lesson. He showed them that the size of your opponent doesn't matter. What matters is the size of your faith. The giants we face in life, our fears, our doubts, our impossible challenges, they may look like Goliath. They may mock us, intimidate us, and paralyze us. But with faith, even the smallest stone, the simplest action, can bring them down. The battle, after all, belongs to the Lord. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires.